we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another special edition of VH2 Presents. In this very special draft, we, Mike and Evan, are going to be selecting our top songs from Mr. Eric Johnson. So today we are going to be looking at the starters. We're going to be looking at the Ray Allens, the Steve Nashes, the Giannis Antetokounmpos, the LeBron Jameses. We're going for the starters today, which of course will then be followed by our backups, which will be followed by our role players. But today, Evan and I, each of us are going to be selecting our top 5 favorite Eric Johnson songs.
Yeah, and so, and just to sort of put this in a larger context, if you haven't yet heard news, Mike and I have done these VH2 song drafts where we created our all-star teams of songs for both Ozzy Osbourne and Metallica. And we thought about, who do we want to do next? What's the next song draft? And sort of the natural progression we agreed on is you're going to do Ozzy, you're going to do Metallica, gotta do Eric Johnson. He's a Grammy winner. He has performed tracks for the famous Pure Moods mail-in order CD that included the likes of Yanni and Enya. So when you're in the company of Yanni and Enya, you've hit the big time. And so we're going to do Eric Johnson. A lot we could say about this guy. We'll let the draft do the talking and see what gems come out.
Ooh, gems.
But we of course have to figure out though, Mike, how we're going to determine who goes first. So I don't have a coin.
Well, I think what we can do is we can let's do a random number generator.
Okay.
And I'll send you this. Send you a link here in the chat if you want.
No, I want you to share.
Okay.
So I just allowed you to share your screen.
Oh geez. You
have to go down to the green button.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go to desk. Okay. Are you looking at this random number generator over here?
Oh yeah. I can also see all the porn tabs you have open.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Evan, so tell me, even or odd?
Even.
Oh, you get the first pick.
Okay, so I have the first pick this time, which is good because I did not get it from Metallica, and I still am upset about that. But we have to settle some things, Mike. So before, when we did these other two, we had to set some parameters, right? So what's allowed, what's part of the catalog, and particularly for an artist like Eric Johnson, who's got lots of live recordings, he shows up on lots of records with other bands as a guest player. He played in a fusion band in the 70s called the Electromagnets. So what's fair game? You tell me.
Okay, I would say I would include Electromagnets in here.
Okay.
I would not include live performances.
Okay.
And I would say we would also allow any covers that Eric Johnson has done. And I think specifically Paperback Writer is one that comes to mind. But for Eric Johnson, it's Eric Johnson solo, Electromagnets. If he played guitar on, something else, he was a contributor, I would say that's not part of the draft. With that said, I think we should allow more random one-off performances. So for example, he did like the national anthem for the MTV, rock and jock softball tournament in 1994 or something.
Wait,
so if we have any,
well,
something like that. Yeah, I can do a Google search right now of that.
Okay. Wait, so you're saying that should be included?
Well, I mean stuff like that. But so that's what I mean. So Eric Johnson national anthem at a sporting event is okay, but Eric Johnson live clips of Dover would not. I don't think that we'll ever get to this point because what I'm talking about is a pretty obscure part of his his output.
Right. So what about a song? So these preliminaries are important. So first of all, that's a critical, because like if we had involved live recordings, there are some I would probably pick, and not just because they're incredible live performances, but for instance, the version of Cliffs of Dover off the live Austin City Limits recording from 1989 is like an extended version of the song, of what would become the studio version of the song.
Okay.
And it's like, I think if you go on Spotify, like Eric Johnson's most listened to song, of course, is Cliffs of Dover. And then I think the live version is like the second or third most listened to.
Okay. How about this then? You can select a live version. However, if you select the live version, you cannot also select the studio version.
Ah, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right, good. Good. That's a good rule. What about a song like Distant Star, which was largely written and composed by Steve Morse? It's on a Steve Morse record from 1985, but Eric Johnson both sings and plays guitar on the song, and it's a really good song.
Okay. You know what? Let me just totally contradict everything that I said about the rules. You know what? Let's just have this be whatever we want. As long as Eric Johnson is somehow, as long as the essence of Eric Johnson is prevalent in the song, then we can select it. So basically, the explanation, the rules that I laid out, just completely ignore those. We're going to leave them in here for posterity.
Okay.
But how about, as long as the song, if it was written by Steve Morse, but performed by Eric Johnson, and the essence of Eric Johnson is coming through in that song, we can allow it.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if this series goes 4 episodes. Because just because we have so much to say about Eric Johnson, and maybe somewhat in departure from the Ozzy Metallica podcast, we have some personal stories about Eric Johnson that we can kind of share here.
This is true.
All utmost respect. And also, this just popped into my head. Also, unlike Ozzy and Metallica, we can record these and send Eric Johnson the links. And I'd say there's at least a 30% chance that he will open at least one of the links.
Yeah, I would agree. No, I think that there's a very good chance of that happening.
Like we could get his attention, and that excites me very much. I mean, we both met him, right? You put your arm around him, and we'll get into that in the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna go through the songs, but this is really more than a song draft. This is sort of a timeline for us. The songs are special. They've become part of our just working vocabulary, major creative influences on us, spiritually, musically. So let's let the games begin.
All right, so let's go. So with the first overall pick of the Eric Johnson draft, Evan, what are you going to pick?
All right, so go ahead, Matt. We have this really cool high-tech spreadsheet that we use here to do these picks, and got a custom version for the Eric Johnson draft. As you can see, Mike is column B, Evan column C. That's me. I won the toss or the random generator this time, so I'm going to pick first. And so I have my first pick. And Mike, we talked about this. Unlike Metallica and Ozzy, I don't have a predetermined list. We are shooting from the hip here.
That's right.
This is intuitive. This is a gut level connection we have with this man. And I also was reflecting on the Ozzy Osbourne podcast, and one of the most controversial things to come from that set of episodes is that the song Crazy Train appeared nowhere in either of our lists.
That's right.
And in retrospect, I find that to be regrettable. There's a similar issue here where there's a pick that's so obvious and you almost just don't want to waste any time talking about it, but at the same time, I feel like I have to. And it is the clear first pick, and it's the song that I heard that most Eric Johnson fans have heard more than any other. It's Cliffs of Dover, and I'm going to go with the studio version off of Avia Musicom, even though there are several great live versions that include all kinds of bells and whistles that you're not going to get on the studio version. Can't say enough about this song. It's the song that won him the Grammy. It's the one that appeared on the Pure Mood soundtrack, so everybody's heard it. It is a absolute guitar opus. You know, it is the most, to me, the most interesting piece of lead guitar oriented recorded music in the past, I don't know, ever. I mean, seriously, this song touched me. And it was one of those songs that I obsessively tried to learn every note, could never get it quite like him. Definitely not Eric Johnson. Nobody plays like this guy. He's able to get these incredible violin swelling tones. He's got a bag of tricks that I think, you know, make him incredibly distinctive as a musician. And this is the song I'm sure he hates to play and hear at this point. In fact, Mike and I could tell a story about going to an Eric Johnson guitar clinic, and he got asked to play and talk about Cliffs of Dover, of course, and he himself referred to it as sort of like a game show theme song. I think it's much more than that. You know, of course, like this isn't my go-to track nowadays after, you know, I've been listening to Eric Johnson for over 20 years, you know, and I have kind of moved away from Cliffs of Dover. I mean, I still love the song. I always get, you know, very excited when he plays it live. But, you know, it's the top track. And I think there's a good case. I thought about picking the Austin City Limits recorded version, which was actually recorded before the Abbey Musicom. So I almost like that one better, but there's something about the rich, overproduced, saturated, wet sound of the tracks on Avia Musicom and Venus Isle. And that kind of comes into this Cliffs of Dover piece. You almost have to attach the Avia Musicom intro to this song, right?
Yeah.
Because it leads up to it perfectly. Anyway, I've been talking way too much. I'm going to go ahead and pick Cliffs of Dover. And you know what I'm going to do? Since I'm on the mic here, I'm gonna go ahead and add a rule, which is that in cases where an intro or an overture track is like part of a lead up to a song, you can take that and you get both songs as your pick. So I'm taking Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. Fully agree with that rule. That would have created an interesting draft thing about, you know, we get down to the 13th pick, and then you take the intro just to pair with Cliffs of Dover. So I think that makes sense.
Okay.
With that song, I mean, just again, this song does get to the very essence of Eric Johnson and why he is such a personal favorite of ours. Why he's such a titan is that he's able to blend this amazing technical guitar playing with composition and just amazing melodies to his music. Like the melody, the chorus to Cliffs of Dover is just iconic, and it's just like transcendent. Yeah, and he's able to combine those in a way where, you know, Joe Satriani, he has like the technical ability and he can make some songs that rock, but he does not have that same knack for composition that Eric Johnson does, which is all here for in Cliffs of Dover.
Joe Satriani is to Eric Johnson what Billy Zane is to Daniel Day-Lewis. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
You know, Joe Satriani is a good actor. He's done some cool things, but like Eric Johnson is the fucking best guitar player in the world ever, just like Daniel Day-Lewis is the best actor ever. So we shouldn't be talking about them in the same. You know, it's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All due respect to Slapball Joe, but no.
No, it is good. That's a good comparison with Cliffs of Dover. I do think over time that Eric Johnson has re-embraced it, because when I've seen him more recently, when I saw him back in January in Seattle, like he played Cliffs of Dover with like an extended intro, and he was like fully invested in it. Yeah. So what I think this was song was released in '91. When we saw him at the in-store, that was 2003. So I think that he probably naturally got burned out, and then he was able to rediscover the song. But you know, his live performances of it are, I mean, again, those are also transcendently good, because he sounds just as good live as he does on the studio recordings.
Yeah. Yep. Incredibly just articulate player.
Yeah.
There's a version live that I've heard him play a few times where he will incorporate like melodies from the Beatles song Yesterday
Mhm.
into the intro for Cliffs of Dover. Those are particularly moving.
Yeah.
We could do a whole podcast on Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah, I think it's and we just might end up doing this. Before I get to my first pick, what I'm going to say, what I find to be challenging about selecting Eric Johnson songs is that I like them, like the songs that I like, which are most of the songs. Well, let me rephrase this. There's a batch of 30 songs,
Yeah.
and the gap between like how much I like each of them is very narrow. So it's like it's not like, well, this is my favorite song, gap, second favorite song, gap, third favorite song. It's like the gap between like my favorite Eric Johnson song and my 20th favorite Eric Johnson song was very narrow.
Right.
Meaning that my top pick and could change. If we did this draft 20 times, my top pick could change 20 times.
Yeah,
So, but I think that the first five are that I pick will still be my icons. With that in mind, this one pick might come as a bit surprise to you, but my first overall pick, I'm going to go into Venus Isle, and I'm going to take Lonely in the Night.
All right.
As my top track. And this also, with Eric Johnson, so we have an instrumental track and a vocal track here, where I think why his albums are so great too is he has a good mixture of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And this track here, again, start to finish is great, but the outro guitar solo, I think, has so much emotion in it. I don't know what the story behind the song is. I feel that there probably is an actual experience that Eric Johnson had with some sort of romantic relationship. But there's a lot of emotion that I feel comes out in the guitar playing, especially for the final solo that ends the song, which is what's always resonated with me. And I just think it's in terms of a narrative story and in terms of the guitar playing, I think it's just an amazing fusion.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised by the pick. I mean, I've considered it for my top five, for sure. And you've heard me make the case that I think the second guitar solo in that song is the greatest guitar solo of all time. Mm-hmm. For a lot of the reasons you mentioned. It's very difficult to fit a guitar solo to a song perfectly well while at the same time also playing that many notes. Mm-hmm. Right? To have that many, like that much virtuosity, also be a tasteful addition to a song. That's rare, right? I mean, typically it's like, we've already mentioned Joe Satriani, guys like Steve Vai, Yngwie Malmsteen have never accomplished this in my mind. Like they're plenty of virtuosity. You guys are skilled beyond belief. And there are lots of guitar players who have just completely shattered, what we thought was possible in terms of physical dexterity. Typically, they are unable to write music, period. Go on Instagram and listen to Shred Monkeys all day long, and they don't really understand how music works. So again, like this is a song where he composed the solo. It's funny you mentioned like the lyrics. You've always been more of a lyric guy. I barely pay attention. I don't know that he wrote the lyrics on this song. I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that because I know he was collaborating with I think his keyboard player, like Steve Mariani or something like that, who may have written this, but who knows?
Okay. Well, this is good to know, and this I think is touches on something for the next evolution of the podcast, which is we actually do some research into these songs and
we don't do our research
before commenting on them. Because you're right. Because I mean, I talk about as I do a psychological analysis about how this song relates to some sort of emotional trauma that Eric Johnson experienced during a breakup. When, as a matter of fact, it could have been just a hypothetical narrative or something that his keyboardist actually wrote. Either way, I mean, whether it's coming from an organic place or whether or not it's just a story that's being told, there still is that the fusion between the music and the lyrics. And again, the guitar playing is just like as you put so well, it fits with the song.
Yeah, we don't do our research on this show. We rely on what's in our hearts. And
Yeah.
anyway, well, we're through pick one, and we've said a lot. I am going to make a game time suggestion that we do picks 1 and 2 and do 3 through 5 on a separate cast.
Okay, let's do it.
Just to keep things short and sweet. We'll have a nice little opening nugget here. And we're going to talk about it because, there's just too much meat. There's too much stuff to discuss, even with these like 2 tracks.
Yeah, let's do it. I know we have some time constraints here, and we don't want to rush through this podcast here. We gotta let's do our number 2 picks, and we will leave the audience wanting more. It's the number 1 rule in show business.
Well, my number 2, that's right, and my number 2 pick. I know you're going to have something to say about it. It's so this is really close for me. It's really close. Because the 2 songs are very different. They play like they've had different levels of importance in my life. So I guess I won't say what the runner-up is or what would be my number 3 if you don't pick it. But my number 2 is going to be the acoustic song for Life, off the Seven Worlds record. And this has come up a lot for me. I have a very personal relationship with this song. I took the time to learn it note for note myself. Again, like Close to Dover, I can't quite play it as well as he can, but I play it well enough that I've been able to perform it at some weddings and things like that. It's kind of like one of the only substantial songs I know nowadays on the guitar. I'm sort of a former musician, but anyway, love this song, still play it, whip out the old Taylor acoustic, and jingle jangle on some Song for Life. Heard him play it live a few times. Beautiful composition. I don't know how the hell you write a song like this. I don't know how he does it. Like that, and he was young. I don't exactly know how old, but this was written. Seven Worlds came out 79,
something like that. Yeah. That I was listening to that song this morning. That would have been my second pick. I was debating that of having that being my first pick, and that is just acoustic guitar and only acoustic guitar. But the way the energy and emotion just crescendos just purely through his guitar playing.
Yeah.
In the song is.
I'd probably listen to these 2 songs. I mean, the 3 that we currently have on the list, I'd probably listen to them more times than any other band's song. I don't know what it is, man. This is the cream of the crop musically.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious. We can keep talking about Song for Life, but I'm very curious to see if your number 2 is going to be what my number 3 would be. I have a feeling it is, but
I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. I know that we talked about how we didn't prepare for this one, and as a result, I'm going back and forth between possible choices. Okay, but okay. I've settled. I have settled on my number 2 choice.
Mike's made his decision, folks.
And that is Trademark.
Trademark, okay.
Very good. Off of Ave Musica, which I believe was also one of his first, also one of his singles off of this, as well.
Yeah, there's actually a music video for the song Trademark that involves floating guitar picks and horses that you can check out. If you bought the DVD, I don't even know, it was like an HD DVD sound enhanced version of Avia Musicom. It included a music video for Trademark. And it's just one of the most odd videos ever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was that era of music video from early 90s where it's relatively low budget and still before just the music videos have become the processed art form that they are now. And I think like 91 Trademark, that's where just people are kind of low budget experimentation, kind of like Tim and Eric style
It's Tim and Eric. It's sort of
Gotcha.
somebody was manning the helm that was weird, and there's so many fucked up people in the music business that just do these incredibly off-putting things. And anyway, I wish we could watch it right now because it's just so crazy. But anyway, killer song. And for those of you who would like to hear some Eric Johnson covers, both Trademark and Cliffs of Dover are covered by the band Forest Fire.
Yeah.
The first and second releases. Forest Fire, instrumental band from Racine, Wisconsin.
That's right. I'll say with I'm gonna cut you off real quick just to go to talk about Trademark for a second. Is this gets into, I think, one of the inherent challenges I have of doing these song drafts is mixing mixing my personal history of the song with how I feel about it right now. Because with Trademark right now at this moment, I would not say that it would be my second my second Eric Johnson song. However, the progression when I first started listening to Eric Johnson of like what are the songs of his that I liked, like Cliffs of Dover started with that. The progression next to that was Trademark. So part of this pick here, I want to pay homage to the significance of this song for me with Eric Johnson. Cliffs of Dover was what got me into him, and then Trademark is what really just hooked me in and turned me into a lifelong fan, as it is here. But like everything else, though, I think it's just a pleasant piece of music, which for ways that I can't exactly describe, just evokes a certain emotion, which is pleasant. It has some soul to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so Trademark at number 2. I will say that my third pick remains intact, but we're going to have to save that for the next episode of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps we can bring in a little bit more media next time to sort of supplement things that we're doing, although that can be a risky bet with the YouTube hawks. Interesting choice. So a little surprised at Trademark, although not that surprised. It's a top track. As we said, there's a music video for it. Plenty more to discuss. So what we'll do is we'll have a 2-part round 1, and then we'll do our traditional bench, sort of second string, and the role players for round 3.
Yeah, so stay tuned, everybody. Thank you for watching. And can you hold on for one? Well, I was going to try to play the SNL song. I don't have it. So anyway, see you all next time. Thank you, everybody. Great show. You've all been amazing.